boys screws loose, they done stripped the bolts on them. Shoulda never sent them to pick up the work for me. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in the rush, they was
all right. Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. It is Thursday, December 28th. It is 11 o'clock p.m. here on the East Coast. And the Celtics just took us on an emotional thrill ride, taking home the win against the lowly Detroit Pistons, 128-122. They certainly didn't make it easy on themselves or on us as fans, but a win is a win. We're here to break it all down with you. I am your host, Dugouts. With me as always, Chuddy, King Chuddy. How you doing tonight?
Doing well. Nice, easy, relaxing win. Zero stress. Never a doubt.
Yeah, I would say it was something all right. But it ended up getting big games out of Tatum and Porzingis. Tatum had 31 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. No, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, and 5 steals. Pretty big night for him. Porzingis, 35 points and 8 rebounds. That 8th rebound coming up real clutch if you're a part of the Chuddy Bar. We're going to get into that a little bit later, too. But yeah, it was definitely an entertaining game, if nothing else. A game that could have had a potential to be a real snoozer. It got pretty entertaining. Before we get into the full breakdown, though, make sure if you're on Twitter, you're following the show page at Chuddy's Corner. Make sure you're following myself at Doug_outs. And make sure you're following Chud at King Chuddy. And also, wherever you are listening to this podcast, make sure that you've subscribed to the podcast as well. Hitting that subscribe button is a big help for us, and to make sure that you are the first person to find out when a new episode drops. Also, special shout out to our sponsor, Nick Perino Real Estate, nickperino.com. That's where we're hosting the Chuddy Weekly Power Rankings for the NBA, and a whole bunch of other good real estate stuff. But thank you for our sponsor. He was actually at the game, scouting out some corporate seats for us. Hopefully that works out for us. Those are some pretty nice looking seats. But yeah, so this game, like I said, big nights out of Tatum and Porzingis. Derrick White kind of turned things on in the second half. We'll get into a little bit about his nights. It was a tale of two shoes for Derrick White. I don't know if you noticed he changed his shoes at halftime. But I'll go ahead again. 128-122. Celtics win it in overtime. No Jaylen Brown tonight. But what did you see from the game tonight? What did you see that you liked, and what did you see that you not like? Because there was a lot in that first half to not like. So go ahead, take it away, Chud.
Obviously a very slow start. I mean, the Pistons, as everybody knows, had come into this game losers of 27 straight games with a 2-28 record on the season. Celtics were favored by 17.5 points. So obviously we're 15-0 at home. They're on a 27-game losing streak. Like you said, people are expecting a snooze fest. They're expecting a blowout, but this is the NBA. That was certainly not the case. Celtics came out a little lackadaisical. I wouldn't say they came out flat and sleepwalking. I would say the Pistons came out with Game 7 finals intensity, which, I mean, that's what you would want to see and what you would expect from a team that's lost 27 games in a row. They're trying not to set history, and they came out from the opening tip playing like their hair was on fire. I mean, they were clearly the aggressors. They were diving on the floor. They were flying in for loose balls. They were tapping out every single rebound. And again, they were playing like their lives depended on it. The Celtics weren't, which, again, is fairly understandable given the circumstances. And, that hard-fought play in the NBA, as much as the difference might be from the best team in the league to the worst team in the league, when, the level of intensity and effort is that different, it doesn't matter. I mean, we see it all the time. No team is that much better than any other team. If you're not trying...
And Scal was saying it too during the broadcast, the Pistons roster isn't even that bad of a roster. It's not.
So that's what I was going to get into as well. There's a lot of things that people, again, I'm sure most of our listeners do not follow the Pistons on a regular basis. So there's a few things I want to say first of all. One, Bojan Bogdanovic, absolute professional, one of their best players, has just come back recently in the month of December. Him coming back to the lineup coincided. His first game was the first game missed by Jalen Duren, their star young center. So those two have actually only both played together. This was their second game. They came back with the last Brooklyn game, which they lost at the very end, played a competitive game. This was only the second game that those two and Cade have played together. So that is a big deal for this team because they had zero floor spacing, and you can just tell the difference in spacing and shooting just that Bogey provides and the rebounding that Duren provides. So the combo of those two guys on the floor, again, they have good players. They don't have a ton of depth. So that in itself makes them a totally different team. Yeah. The other thing is Monty Williams. For whatever reason, he's done a dreadful job coaching this team. He was not playing Jaden Ivey, who again, they drafted last year 4th overall. He's supposed to be a pseudo star. He's just recently finally starting to get minutes. I think anyone could watch him play tonight and realize, like, especially for a team that's non-competitive, why you would not be playing this guy meaningful minutes is absolutely beyond.
He's crazy. He's like he's like the Flash out there.
Very good player. I still, starting Kevin Knox and playing him all those minutes over Oscar Thompson still makes no sense to me. But that's beside the point. For whatever reason, the Pistons have really not put their best foot forward. So before we get into any breakdowns, I want to say, like, if the Pistons are fully healthy and have this roster and are playing like this losing streak is not going to go on for a lot longer, because they are not. The team we saw tonight is not a team that is like a 28 straight game losing streak team. That's a solid team.
And obviously that helps us to say that, but I think you'd be saying this either way.
Exactly. People are going to roll their eyes, but they almost won their last 2 games. They've looked a lot better lately. Cade Cunningham, as I mentioned in the keys to the game, is playing by far the best basketball of his career. It seems like in the last month or so, and it really coincides with Bogdanovich getting back because they had no floor spacing at all. And to be a young point guard trying to create everything with no floor spacers who can shoot the ball, that's a tough task. Now he has a giant rim presence down low, a roll threat, a guy he can play down low with, and an absolute sharpshooter from the outside, and a veteran in Bogdanovich, who's a hell of a player. So it's like they now just have real NBA talent around him, and you can see the difference in Cade. I mean, if you watch Cade the last few games, he looks like a budding star. So again, it probably seems silly to say about a team that's now set the record for the most, or tied the record for the most consecutive losses ever, but they actually do seem like there's some positive signs of life and that they're trending in the right direction. And again, the roster is littered with talent. You just look up and down the roster. Cade Cunningham, number 1 overall pick. James Wiseman, I know he sucks, but he was a number 2 overall pick. Marvin Bagley, I know he sucks, but he was a number 2 overall pick. Jaden Ivey, as I just mentioned, number 4 overall pick. Oscar Thompson, number 5 overall pick. Kevin Knox, number 8 overall pick. Jalen Duren, 13th overall pick. I feel like I'm even forgetting someone else. But the point is, basically the entire team is top 10 picks, lottery picks, and that's not even...
Burks played a lot of minutes for them.
Well, yeah, Burks is a vet, too. I don't know. He's another guy. I'm not sure why he's ever really getting minutes over Ivy. I'd even like to see a little more Marcus Sass or whatever. Like I said, Monty Williams has been an absolute disaster of a hire coaching this team. But the point is, the talent is there on the roster. And I think that was part of the biggest frustration when the team's losing so many games. And Cade had that speech. He kind of got made fun of in that press conference where he's like, we're not a 2-26 team. And everyone's like, yeah, you are. But I kind of get what he's saying. Like, you look at the other teams that they're being compared to historically, that Bobcats team, that Sixers process team. This team is way better. And this team actually has the pieces there that, like, with this roster and a few changes, I think could become good. I believe in Cade now. I believe in Jalen Duren. I believe in Ivy. I believe in Oscar Thompson. We didn't see a lot of him tonight. But those 4 core young players are good. They're obviously going to get more good draft picks. The point is, they're not nearly as bad as their record, especially when they're all healthy and Monty is actually playing the right guys. And again, they're this motivated. When you have a 28-game losing streak, like, you're going to approach every game like it's Game 7 of the finals. You could tell from the first minute they were locked in. They were playing so well, so intense. I mean, you look at the hustle stats, the offensive rebounds, the things like that. They're dominating. Like, these guys want to win. They care. They're not some checked out
on the rebounds.
Exactly. It's not some checked out Bobcats team, or like I said, the process Sixers, the post LeBron Cavs. This is a far cry from that. So I know Celtics fans or Celtics detractors are probably rolling their eyes. Yeah, whatever. But no, like that, what we just saw was a solid NBA basketball team that put forward their best effort and played really well and gave the Celtics arguably like one of their best challenges of the season, arguably the most adversity we've had at home.
Yeah, definitely, At least,
and I mean, again,
there was the biggest deficit we faced all year. We
were down 21 in the first half at home. Now, granted, the Celtics were, and rightfully so, the Celtics were playing sloppily. We had 10 turnovers in the first half and a lot of just careless turnovers. We were not boxing out. We were allowing offensive rebounds left and right and a ton of second chance points where it seems like whoever was down low was just overhelping. It was Al, it was Porzingis, it was Cade.
There was way too much of that. It felt like they were just doubling on everything or overhelping, and guys were getting left wide
overhelping
open.
To try to block a shot, and it would lead to Duren or Wiseman at times just with an easy putback dunk. Things like that we just need to clean up. And then, to make matters worse, we're shooting 4 of 24 from threes in the first half. So it's like when it rains, it pours. We're turning the ball over left and right. We're like high turnovers, terrible shooting, not boxing out. So it's like the combo of all the things we can do poorly, we were doing. Mm-hmm. But again, give credit to the Pistons. They're busting their ass, and they were shooting the hell out of the ball and playing well. And I mean, Cade was awesome in that first half. We saw it. We started with Derrick White on him. He was torching White early. He made us switch, put Jrue on him.
Yeah, Derrick
That
White
changed
was
things a little bit.
sleepwalking in that first.
Tough half. Honestly, I mean, you mentioned the shoes. I don't know if it was the shoes, the court, what, but it seemed like he was just slipping left and right. Scal was like, he's making uncharacteristic plays. I don't know if it was so much mistakes. It seemed like he just kept slipping. Like,
And honestly,
was
to me,
falling
it
all
looked
over
like
the place,
he's just like checked out. It looked like he just wasn't even there. Like something else was
Maybe.
on his mind. It was bizarre.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I don't.
Also,
I mean, I don't want to
All-Star talk's
speculate.
getting to
But,
his head, I guess. No.
yeah, I don't know. They just seemed like a whole lot of just like, I don't know. Like he just wasn't awake. Like he didn't even realize the game started.
Some of that for him, sure. Some of that for Holiday too, especially on offense in the first half. There's several. The shot selection by Holiday was gross, and then a few turnovers where it just was like, what are we doing? A little bit of sleepwalking. I thought Tatum, for the most part, was good. The 3-point shot, again, is just gone, but every other aspect of the game seemed like he was good.
Mm-hmm.
But again, just a gross overall first half. We're down as much as 21. Went into the half down 19, only scored 43 points. So again, for this team, the way like we just saw us play, where it seemed like we were scoring almost 40 points a quarter, to only score 43 points and a half at home against the Pistons, seemingly makes no sense. But again, I mean, this is the NBA. It's a long season. Every game's kind of its own thing, so shit happens. I don't like it. I think it's oversimplifying it and creating a narrative to just be like, oh, a trap game, like we weren't trying, blah blah blah. Like, I give more credit to the Pistons. I think they're as locked in right now because of their losing streak as any team we're going to play in the NBA. Like, no team we're going to play in a random regular season game is probably going to come out from the tip that motivated, that intense. And you can see
I agree with that, but I think that if we weren't, I think that we were also playing.
We can definitely,
and I think that feeds into them feeling like good about everything. I think if they came out and played the same way they did, but we 100%. Came out and played our best ball, I think they would have. It wouldn't have gone. And obviously, it sounds obvious to say, but it's like I think we would have kind of. We gave them way too much life in that first half.
Exactly, and that's the score. Them being up 20 points, whatever, and us scoring 43 is crazy. But it wasn't just all being bad. Like a lot of the credit goes. It's half. Yeah. I think it was an even mix. Anyway, second half. Brand new game. Third quarter. Good Lord, that third quarter. I don't know what happened at halftime, but you won't see much. I think
Joe threatened to put someone in a jiu-jitsu hold or some shit.
You won't see a much better quarter and more dominant quarter in the NBA. And that was where we saw the difference in talent. And then we matched their intensity, if not raised it. We came out, and it was like, by God, there were no three-pointers. It was the first possession and a half. Got into Tatum, in the post, got a mismatch, back down, hard spin, layup, and then absolutely locked in, picking up right at half court with Holiday on Cunningham, and it was just like, you could immediately tell, like, okay, this is a different game right now.
Yeah.
But it was, again, like, they were playing, like, playoff intensity. We had to match that. We said, okay, we're going to do it. We did it, and absolutely dominated that quarter. Again, threes weren't falling. We just kept going inside. It was Tatum, bully ball. Porzingis going to the block, bully ball, just playing big. Derrick White absolutely coming alive. It was mainly those three, but it was Holiday completely shutting down Cunningham. I mean, not letting him get anything going.
Meeting him right at half court. I think that was the best. And that's one of the things Scal was saying, that they just can't let him just get down court feeling comfortable. So
for sure.
I was glad to see him right in his chalk from the get-go.
Smothering defense. Brilliant offense, pushing the pace. I mean, like I said, almost as dominant a quarter as you see. You won't see a 20-point lead disappear that quickly. We went from down 19 at half to within 1 point. Well, but within 1 point with like 4.5 minutes left. So it was 7 minutes. We walked down a 20-point lead like that.
It was crazy.
And again, it was just our focus. We were shooting like 12 of 16. We didn't have a single turnover until the last minute of the quarter. Again, 10 turnovers in the first half, only 2 in the whole second half, one in overtime. Finished with 12 after 10 at halftime. So obviously, just like complete change in our focus, in our execution, completely locked in. Like you said, Derrick White, rough first half, incredible second half, back to his usual self. Everyone really, I mean, Al was great, Porzingis, amazing in that second half, and was just absolutely dominant in the whole second half. Tatum, I thought he played MVP-like in both ends of the court, was really doing it all, didn't have the three falling, and just decided he was going to do everything else. You mentioned 10 assists, 7 rebounds, and still at over 30 points, shooting 2 of 11 on threes, just shows he was committed to going to the hoop. And we were just finding mismatches because we had the size advantages. And it was like every time Porzingis did not have Duren on him, we got him the ball around that free throw line. And he just turned around, was shooting over anyone.
Was making sure he was going up on that one where it's like it was like they might as well not have been a defender there. The way I saw like a slow mo like replay of it, it honestly was just like the funniest thing. Like
the guy,
it's like sometimes you just realize like, oh shit, wait, I'm like a foot tall in this guy. Like Let me just go ahead.
Yeah. But I mean, that was, like I said, almost as dominant a quarter. It really at times felt like it was like men against boys out there. Like, it was almost the point where it's like, I almost feel bad for Detroit. So it's like, if we're playing this hard against this team, like, there's just nothing they can do. So unbelievable third quarter. Again, to turn the game around from losing by over 20 points to tied at the end of the quarter was just absolutely absurd. I mean, that's, again, people are going to, scoff and say, oh, it's the Pistons, blah, blah, blah. But no, we're playing against a really good team that was absolutely busting their ass, and we just fucking
spotted them 20 points and then just brought it right back.
Absolutely dominant quarter on both ends.
35-16 in that quarter.
Yeah, like I said, you're not going to play a much better two-way quarter than that. And for what it's worth, really not much of it with like hitting threes. It wasn't. We've seen those quarters where we're just splashing threes nonstop. It wasn't really that. It was more like, we're going to bully you. We're going to get to the rim over and over again. It was like, seemed like everything was in the paint, and then just stifling defense. And just, again, doing everything right. Fourth quarter started, Tatum rest. Kind of an odd lineup we started with in the fourth. I don't want to say we like let our foot off the gas a little bit, but I think probably a little bit of us thought, okay, there goes that lead. They're gonna roll over. Like, we the job is done now. We can relax.
Not roll over.
No, not at all. And again, credit to the Pistons. They kept friggin' fighting. They fought their asses off in that fourth quarter. Bogdanovich was a monster. Ivy, got to be one of the best games of his career. Cade, despite the way we were guarding him, kept fighting, kept making plays. All of those guys. Duren, monster down low. Again, they stayed in that game with second chance points. Offensive rebounds, they were absolutely crashing. The amount of times they flew in there and just tipped balls back out to keep possessions alive.
I felt like
and get
there was
themselves
one
extra
at
shots.
one point where they had an offensive rebound on every possession for like 5 or 6 possessions straight.
It did,
was
and
insane.
for most of that game,
they
we were
finished
playing
with 19 of offensive rebounds. That's fucking
and I think
crazy.
over 30 second chance points, I believe, too, which is just, I mean, that was
second chance points.
And that's what kept us from running away with it in the fourth. Honestly, it was them just keeping it alive. And the even crazier part is for most of the game and most of that fourth quarter, we were playing big with Al and Kristaps in there. Like, it's not like we went small or anything. We had two basically centers in the game, and they were still, it's just like, you could see their effort and athleticism. And again, that's a credit to them. And, these guys are NBA players. I just mentioned, they're all mostly top 10 picks. They've got a lot of pride. Nobody wants to lose 28 games in a row. They're out there busting their asses. They're clearly overmatched, but they didn't quit. So much credit to them for fighting, but
and they probably didn't feel that overmatched at that point just because of what they had done in the first quarter was 30-27, second quarter 36-20. There's no reason that they couldn't have said, we just need to have one more quarter like that and we win this game.
And they did.
And that opening lineup, like you said in the fourth, was a bit bizarre.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tatum.
But it's hard without Tatum.
Tatum need to rest.
Jalen,
we don't have Jalen. Yeah, Derek's resting, so I mean that's going to happen. And rough game for the bench again. Hauser continues to kind of slump. It seems like he's kind of rushing it almost with his shots. Like the second he gets a little bit of space, he's just so rushing his shot. Like almost
he
like
hit that first one, that rainbow one, and I thought he was back, but.
Yeah, no. Pritchard.
I didn't think that Cato was that. I thought Cato was making a lot of stupid mistakes out there today too.
Cato looked again like he was just playing a little too fast. Was in a little bit over his head. The speed of the game was too much for him, kind of. So I mean, tough game again.
I loved at one point he was calling for like the green light special. It's like Cato, like.
Well, that was a tough call, but the refs were letting them play a lot too. The game became super physical down the stretch. They were letting them play, which I liked. Made it fun again. This is a regular season game. It's nice to see us get a little adversity. I would have been pretty pissed if we lost, but hey, I like us getting tested and having to rise to the challenge and seeing that we can, get that intense, get that physical, and go win a game with our, kind of bullying. It's good to be able to bully some teams. We've gotten bullied a lot over the years, especially in our losses. So it's good for us to kind of be the bully for a change. It was nice, but again, several times, especially in that fourth quarter, it felt like we had finally okay, we got them. We got up 106-100. It felt like we had it. Ivy came right. That was like under 2 minutes left. It seemed like we had kind of finally shut the door after a White three.
It was we were up 6. We were up 6, and then Scal started talking about the streak. He's like, "Oh well, looks like the streak," and it was like 2 minutes left. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, Scal?"
Yeah.
He said like 2 or 3 different things about the streak like continuing, and it was like we're up 6 with 2 minutes left. What the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Ivy came right down, hit a tough and one, and then they got Tatum at a very uncharacteristic kind of sloppy turnover, and then they came right back down and hit another 3. And it was like, just like that, the game was tied. And again, credit to them. What teams with 20, like I said, the shitty teams that the Pistons are being mentioned with don't get hit with that kind of adversity and come back and tie the game. So like all the credit in the world to them. Game's tied. we get a stop. There's 24 seconds left. The Celtics call timeout. This is a play that could easily get lost in the mix, but I absolutely love what the Celtics did there. I thought that was one of their best late game situations. We ran a nice horns action with White had the ball. Tatum and Porzingis with setting kind of the elevator door screen on either side, letting White pick. He went to the Porzingis screen. Tatum goes right to the free throw line, feeds Tatum. Everybody clears out, spaces the floor. He's got 4 shooters out wide, and Tatum has Cade on him one-on-one. Makes a quick, decisive spin move, rolls to the hoop, goes for that lefty lay-in. Cade, who had already just blocked him, almost got him again. It was a goaltending, but great defense by Cade, even though it was goaltending. But that's the kind of possessions we want to see at the end of the game. Instead of dribbling and settling for a pull-up jumper, hard spin move, go right to the rim. Even if it was a clean block, I'll live with that. Like, that's what we want to see. Clear the lane, and Tatum takes a hard, strong move to the basket. I will live with that every time. So that's just a little side note. Like I said, play that'll probably get lost in the shuffle, but I think that's what everyone's looking for from the Celtics in these crunch time situations. So good to see them get some experience in there and run a play that I really liked. So again, up 2 then with 8 seconds left, or no, 4 seconds, whatever it was. And then Celtics force a tough shot, they miss, and of course, offensive rebound, Bogey tips it right back in to tie the game, sends it to overtime. Tatum misses a mid-range shot at the buzzer with not a lot of time left. I thought, whatever, one dribble, pull up, wasn't much you could do there. Game goes to overtime. Of course, hard-fought overtime. And again, just Celtics pulling away.
I feel like we kind of pulled it away. I don't think the overtime was as...
Oh, no, we did pull away, but it was hard-fought. And it was a lot of Porzingis. It was a lot of Derrick White. It wasn't really Tatum scoring. It was kind of him doing everything else. Had a couple of assists, a couple of rebounds. Awesome defense. You mentioned the 5 steals for Tatum. He just seemed like he was everywhere. It felt like it was like one of those Tatum moments where he's like, I'm the best player. I am not letting us lose this game. So, some of those other guys will get the credit and maybe the highlights. Porzingis had the dunk to kind of finish it. White had the big 3. But it really felt like it was Tatum kind of leaving his mark on the game and on both ends of the court, which you love to see from your superstar. And then the other guys stepped it up, closed it out, and narrowly able to escape with a victory. Just counts as one more win in the stat sheet. But like I said, about as much adversity as you'll face. And at the end of the day, hey, we got away with it. And like I said, people can scoff at, the Celtics barely beat the lowly Pistons, but watch. The Pistons are going to win a game very soon. I don't think this streak is going to go on for much longer. I wouldn't be surprised if they win their next game against the Raptors. If they keep playing like this, you heard it here first. They are on the verge of, I'm not saying they're going to turn it around and make the playoffs, but they are actually, I think, starting to trend in the right direction. And I think games like these are a huge building block for the Pistons. Even in a losing effort, I thought that was a great game for the Pistons, great game to build on. And also, again, a great game for the Celtics where, you're that top team. It's easy to have these letdowns, and it seemed like we were going to, but to come out there and pull it off, I mean, that's what championship teams do. You're missing one of your star players. You're not playing your best. You get down by a ton of points. You nut up. You come back and you bully them and eke out the win. Any way you got to do it, And that's, again, we keep saying that's the best thing about this team is they can do it in different ways. The threes were not falling at all tonight. We became a bully team. We said we're going to go in the go in the paint, win the game that way, and we did it. So, I think it would be easy to be negative about this game, but I'm actually feeling pretty positive with the way things ended up.
So just to talk about the Pistons. So you got the Raptors next, then they have the Rockets, the Jazz, the Warriors, the Nuggets, the Kings, the Spurs, then the Rockets
again. They will
again.
win one of their next 3 games. That is a Chuddy's Corner guarantee.
Ooh, Chuddy's Corner guarantee.
Chuddy's Corner guarantee.
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna mark that. I'm gonna mark the time frame on that. We're gonna have to clip that one. Chuddy guarantee. So
what did you say? Raptors.
The Raptors, Rockets, Jazz. They do
They'll
also
win one of those 100%.
They do have I said the Spurs, and they also
that Spurs is after the Jazz.
No. That's a few games after. They have the Jazz, Warriors, Nuggets, Kings, Spurs, Rockets again, then they have the Wizards.
No,
there's got to be a win sprinkled in there somewhere.
I could see 3 wins by the end of that.
Ooh, by the end of January? Well, yeah. Yeah, they got to...
Like I said, now that they have their actual team out there, they're not nearly that bad. Yeah. We saw it tonight. That's a solid team.
I could see it once they win one, kind of things sort of settling down. Because I agree. I admit I hadn't really watched a lot of the Pistons, and if my really only view of them is how they played us tonight, which was obviously playing us really well. But just looking at what their roster was, it does just seem like they definitely aren't the lowly teams that like they're compared to.
No.
I'd say even like I saw like Kuzma was like tweeted something like during the game like when it was like a screenshot of the Celtics losing. He's like, no one wants to be that team. It's like, dude, you play the Wizards. Like you guys like pretty much like if it wasn't for this team, you guys would be the laughing stock. I mean, you wouldn't be on quite the losing streak, but so
I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of that Wizards game, Wizards-Pistons, if the Pistons win and are tied with the Wizards or have a better record than them.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. I feel like there's teams right now I think in the league that have a worse roster but just don't have the record to go with it. So
yes.
But again, that's just based on I just watched them play today where they looked like a borderline playoff team the way they're playing.
No, and
today.
The Pistons have young, good talent. If they play Cade, Bogey, Duren, Ivy, and All-Star Thompson big minutes, and again, I know All-Star didn't play a lot tonight. He's still
he only
raw.
played like 11 minutes, I think.
Right, which is weird with some of the other guys they're playing. But again, it's just having Cade, Ivy, Bogey, Duren are 4 good players who just have not played big minutes together this year at all.
Yeah.
If those guys keep playing
big
minutes
Duren
together,
is like freakish. He's like,
beast.
Yeah, he's an absolute beast.
Absolute beast. If those 4 guys play consistent minutes together, they're going to start winning games.
Okay. They're going to win one of the next 3 games per Chuddy.
They are.
Yeah.
Quite possibly more than one.
Yeah, just a couple of takeaways I had from it. We mentioned it a little bit earlier too. Porzingis, just like that guy in the post is just
beast mode.
We need to, I think, run more of like that kind of offense. I don't think that we do that. We go to that nearly enough, especially at times when the 3 isn't falling. I think that like will eventually lead to good looks from 3 and stuff like that. But there's just so many times where if he's got a smaller guy on him, just go to him right away. It's really today was
automatic.
He was so good today. Obviously, he's the high scorer, 35 points, 8 rebounds, a massive 8th rebound.
Super efficient.
He was he's just a lot of fun to watch. And again, I was sort of the time that was not sure about Porzingis, but the more I've like at the time of the trade, I mean, but the more I watch, the more it's like, and Tatum kind of said this after a game too. He said he just kind of brings something that the team hasn't had. They've never had that. So as much as we all like love Marcus Smart, love and trust Marcus Smart, I do think that it's easier to maybe replicate a lot of the stuff that Marcus does versus to replicate what Porzingis can do. So it does.
I just think they're totally different. But
obviously they're completely different players. I'm just saying like there's not a lot of people that can do what Porzingis does, and I think that Marcus Smart, you can at least come. I think that Jrue Holiday's filled in that role pretty well, and I think Derrick White's really stepped it up defensively and stuff like that on those hustle plays too. I mean, he's had 2 steals in like 5 or 6 straight games. So
Derrick's been great. So Porzingis tonight, as to what you said, 10 of 12 inside the arc. It just seemed like when they when they posted him up, it was automatic, automatic points. And he has such good touch in there that turnaround. He can go off the glass. He can go. If he gets the ball at the free throw line or in, and he doesn't have a true center on him, it's like an automatic basket every time.
Yeah. And
it seemed like they realized, again, in the second half, you could tell immediately after halftime, there's a clear commitment. The 3s aren't falling. Let's get the ball inside to Porzingis and Tatum and play through them. And it was changed the game.
That kind of leads to my other takeaway. Like when Tatum is playing like kind of aggressive like he was tonight in the second half, at least, I think the first half was a little bit more passive. When he plays aggressive like that, again, we talked about this a little bit too, where it's like, it's almost like Jalen's always like kind of the downhill like attacking player, but Tatum can do that. So I want to see him do that a lot more often. I think he got away from the 3, thankfully, because it wasn't falling really at all for him. I feel like it hasn't really been all that much lately. Every now and then, as soon as I start to say it's not falling, he'll hit like a crazy one. I'll be like, oh, look, an idiot. But
one game.
I think generally speaking, like I think what happens a lot of times is he goes in, he gets contact and doesn't get a call, and he just kind of goes away from it. I'd rather him just keep going because I think the calls are eventually going to come. But I just think the way he plays, and like he had a couple plays like that. I think he had the one where he went right at, I think it was Durant who went out, where he kind of shoved off a little with his arm, but the fact that he's able to do that is just kind of a testament to his strength that he's sort of built up on.
And again, they were letting him play so much, and it's one of those things where, like, because there was the play, I think there was 3 minutes left, and Bogey kind of threw Tatum down. It definitely should have been a foul, but they didn't call it. Mavs called a foul timeout, which was a good timeout, and it seemed like Tatum was going to get teed up because he was pissed. And he was right, and White was kind of pushing him away, and it's one of those things where I'm going to be like, I get why you're mad, and you're right, But you have to think, if they're letting that go, think of how physical you can be, because you can absolutely dominate these guys. Like, Bogey can't match your strength, and that's the thing he needs to notice. If they're letting that go inside and be a bully, and he does that, and he's unstoppable.
Yeah, and he had that one that was like an and one that was just like a circus type shot. Like, I couldn't believe that one. Once that went in, I knew that he was cooking with some serious gas. But again, I just want to see him play like that more often, because like this was kind of a game too where like they've been saying all kind of year, and you know, Tatum's caught a little bit of like flack from certain like the box score boys and shit like that about like his numbers, and it's just kind of like, but they've been saying like he's playing within like the role of the team. But I thought tonight, especially when they went down by 20, this is a perfect night where it's like, dude, just go out there and be a fucking beast, and like the rest of the offense will work around you because you're so skilled. So I think obviously Porzingis had a big hand in that too, but I think that the two of them, it was one of those games where it's like we need you to go out and be like a top 5 player in the league and put up the numbers to back that up. Right. I think on any given night, we don't necessarily need that, but tonight, especially with the hole we dug ourselves in, it was just like, go out there and be a fucking beast, and that's what we need from you, and everything else will work itself out. And I think it did. I think it made it easier for Porzingis too, the fact that he was playing so aggressively. So
definitely, and we saw it at the end down the stretch of that Lakers game too. And it's like Tatum, I think, is better when he plays almost more like a power forward than a point guard. Let Derrick White play point guard to get Porzingis and Tatum down low, and it's just, again, so many different ways to beat teams. We saw those Clippers and Kings game when the threes are falling, and it's like, then there's just nothing team. If the threes is falling like that, we're scoring 140 points a game. There's nothing any team can do.
Yeah.
But on these games where the threes not falling, and we can turn to that kind of play and win a game like that, that to me is where it's different than in years past. Because in years past, we've always seen it.
When we lose this game in the previous years, 100%.
Years past, when the threes are on, we're unbeatable. We didn't have another answer. Now we can go down low and play bully ball with Porzingis and Tatum as a counter when the threes aren't falling, and dominate a quarter, like you said, 36-15 in a quarter where 16, we're not even hitting threes or whatever. But like that, 35-16. But still, to win a quarter like that, where it's not the 3-point parade, that's where it's the league. The rest of the league has to be like, damn, if they can beat us this way and that way.
Yeah, and I think playing like you just said, where you have where he's kind of playing like a power forward, and then you still sort of have Jalen playing kind of that sort of more like wing, almost guard, kind of like aggressive sometimes.
Tatum can almost be the attacker playing on the weak side, who's kind of catching the ball and either is open for shots or can attack closeouts or go at the defense when they're rotating. Like, again, there's just, when we've got all our guys out there and everyone's playing the right way, we keep saying it over and over again, but if we don't settle, you can't stop us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was great. What else? I didn't really have a whole lot else. I mean, no Cornette at all. Joe said
was he active? He was available?
He was available, yeah. But Joe had said, I'm almost positive he was available, yeah.
No, I think you're right. I think they did say Brown
Joe
was
had
the only
said,
one.
too,
I didn't
that
think
he was
of it,
still
but you're
going
right.
to play, that he was still like the third big man, but then he didn't play. And again, I thought
Cada?
that there was points when Cada didn't really look that great out there, so 9 minutes for Cada, though, so that's not even really the whole lot of minutes for... Oh, 19, I'm sorry, I had to slide myself over here. I thought 19 a little bit low. I was scrolled over.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, hate to see that. Tatum 43 minutes, Holiday 44 minutes, White 37, Porzingis 35, Al 37. Ton of minutes, but hey, we just had 2 nights off.
We had to.
Game went to overtime. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it happens, and that's where people shouldn't just look and be like, oh, you had to exert that much energy against the Pistons. Like, we had to win a game against a team that was playing really well. Like, it is what it is, you know? There will be plenty of games against teams with much better records where we absolutely smoke them and get to rest a lot. So that is what it is. But yeah, no, you're right. It would have, but again, we're going to smoke we smoked the Kings, who are fourth in the West on the back-to-back, and got to rest the whole fourth quarter. So this is all going to even out. It's a long regular season. But no, you're right. That is a very interesting takeaway that Cade got the bench big man minutes and Cornette did not get interference. Maybe he's not back to 100% and they want to give him time to ramp up, get back into playing speed. And the way this game was going,
sure he'll play some tomorrow without.
Well, yeah, and it was, again, an intense, fast-paced, physical game. Maybe if we were up by 20, we would have seen, Cornette play the whole fourth quarter.
Also,
or something.
I don't know,
get him back up to speed.
Cornette against Duran, I think
well, that's what I mean. Just matchup.
Murdered.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, even Cade looked a little lost and overmatched out there, and I mean that's what led to Al playing 37 minutes, Porzingis playing 35 minutes. So it was obviously mostly those guys, and we still largely got absolutely dominated on the glass. So as well as those guys played, the Pistons still kind of outplayed us on that end. But that will definitely be something interesting to monitor now that Cornette is healthy, if Cade has overtaken him or not. So good point.
Well, one other big story, the Chuddy Bar Parlay. That's why they took it to overtime, I think, because they just knew that they had to get the Chuddy Bar in. So I had, what did I have? I had Porzingis, 7.5 rebounds. Derrick White.
He got 8.
He got 8. Derrick White, over 1.5 steals, and the team total.
And he had 2
of
right?
126. Of 126.5. So
So
the Porzingis rebound too on the play right before he actually got the 8th rebound. I forget who it was, but someone on the Pistons missed the shot, and the ball was going right towards Porzingis, and they called like a off
foul,
ball, like a foul on the rebound. So that the 8th rebound, the 8th rebound gets taken away. They go to the free throw line, and he misses the free throw. And I think that's what Porzingis got the 8th rebound on. I think on a free throw, immediately following that. So I was like, okay. But then at that point, it was still, it's just kind of like, all right, well, there's still a pretty long way away from 127 points. But then as things went in overtime, things started
20
to pick
points
up.
In overtime.
Yeah, so things started to pick up. It was looking pretty good. And then Jrue, they had 125 points. 125. Yeah, they had 125 points. Jrue Holiday got fouled. Probably not the first person I'd want for the free throws. I think he's not a bad free throw shooter,
he's good. All those guys are good free throws.
But he missed one of them.
He missed one, yeah.
So it got to 126. And then I was a little bit nervous that they weren't going to continue to foul, but then I think Cade came up and hit that 3. So I think once he hit that 3, it was kind of like, okay, well, they'll fight, I guess. And they fouled Derrick White. And Derrick White hit the 2 free throws to get us to 128. But that was just an absolute sweat. And I did mention the last podcast, I was going to go a little bit higher than my normal units, which again isn't I'm not like a crazy maniac or anything. But I will say that I did recoup most of the losses of the season so far off tonight. So we're definitely, I'd have to crunch the numbers. I don't think we're back to 0, but we're close to it. We're heading towards, I might go a little, another nuclear missile tomorrow, try to get us right going into 2024. But yeah, no, that was by far the most exciting Chuddy Bar Parlay to hit. So anyone that was riding along with it, shout out to you. Enjoy the money. Don't spend it all in one place.
Arguably one of the most exciting all-around games of the season, and the Chuddy Bar just ties right into it with all 3 legs narrowly hitting with overtime being very necessary.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was a thing of beauty. So cooking up something good for everyone tomorrow. But yeah, that felt real good.
Absolutely.
You got anything else, thoughts just from this game? Or
the only other thing really we always love to kind of bring up the announcers a little bit. I just thought it was a really weird, rough game for Scal. He had a few moments where I was just kind of like, what the hell is he talking about? Specifically, Gorman kind of set him up and was like, what's the deal with Wiseman? And he's like, yeah, he just didn't fit into the Warriors system. It's like, okay, that is drastically understating how much of a bust Wiseman is. Simplifying it to say that he just didn't fit in their system is just, he just sucks. That's just so not true.
Yeah, it might just be that.
Massive bust. And for him to just casually brush it off he just didn't fit their system. No, that is not at all.
Just sucked.
Sure, that wasn't the best environment for him to go into, but he's shown no signs of being even a good NBA role player. And they used the number 2 pick on him over LaMelo Ball was the next pick in the draft, and Halliburton went a little bit later. So, that was a quick throwaway comment that had me doing an absolute triple take. Wait a minute, what? So that was rough. Then I thought the review of the play at the end with the goaltending, Scal was so on the fence, and I was like, the angle clearly, it was close. But
they also were showing the worst possible angles.
It was.
I kept saying, just show the fucking dunking cam. Dunking cam will solve this all.
But again, I thought there were several angles where it was just all that matters if it hits the glass, it's goaltending. It clearly hit the glass, and Scal kept being, I don't know. It's no, it hit the glass, it's goaltending. There's nothing else to discuss. So there was those 2. There's a couple others. Those were the 2 that stood out to me, but I just thought it was weird. Scal, not his best moment. I don't know if he was, still.
I already mentioned it too. He almost blew the game.
Holiday hangover.
With the fucking comments about saying
that moving on to he's moving on before the game was over. So just I've been a big Scal defender and supporter. I think he's gotten a lot better, but I thought he had a weird game tonight. Not his best, so I hope he can bounce back.
He must be missing Jrue. Shout out Jrue Carter.
Maybe that was
big
the deal.
Chuddy head.
I don't know if he's just not bringing his A game now that Gorman's on the call back home or what, but weird stuff, I guess, from Scal. So that was it. We love our announcer talk here, so wanted to bring that up.
Yep, that was talking announcers. So all right. What do you got for us? What's going on? Well, just to put a bow on all that, again, Celtics 128-122 win over the Pistons, 15-0 at home. When tomorrow we got the Raptors coming into town, so that's home still too, right? That's not one of those ones where you go away right after. Okay, right. We'll get into that at the end of the show. But what do you have for us for around the NBA?
So to start off, we mentioned him earlier. Our good friend, who's loved and trusted by all, Marcus Smart, back in the lineup for the Memphis Grizzlies the other night. And I don't know if you caught this game, Grizzlies-Pelicans, but it was just the full Marcus Smart absolute experience on display. His first game playing with Ja Morant. They were down 14 going into the fourth quarter. And winning play after winning play after winning play after winning play. He ended up with, I think he had 13 points in the fourth quarter and overtime. He had 5 steals. He stole the ball in crunch time on an inbounds pass, got fouled, stole the ball, then overtime, and one. Took absolutely outrageous charge on a full speed ahead with a head of steam Zion game-clinching charge. Like, it's just everything. I mean, go back and watch. It's all 2-minute highlights of him making
so much fucking gumbo flying at you.
Everything that Marcus Smart is, he did. He's doing the full yell. No, in New Orleans too.
Oh yeah, so he's fresh off his. It
was awesome. Made the Grizzlies 4-0 with Ja within 4.5 in the play. It was just awesome to see how fired up they were. And again, it's so good to see for me going on Twitter and seeing all the Grizzlies fans finally getting the taste of like the Marcus Smart experience when the team is actually good and winning. Saw so many fun tweets from all the great Grizzlies people I follow. Chris Vernon, obviously, is a huge Grizzlies guy. He had some hilarious tweets. Molly Morrison, who's had a tweet saying something like, now I finally understand why Celtics fans acted like the world was ending when they traded Marcus Smart. So just happy that it seems like he has started to find a home and that he's playing meaningful games again. Because, I mean, that was the saddest part, was seeing him playing, for a team that was just so shitty. So, the Grizzlies, obviously, my second favorite team, my Western team. So good to see them fighting back and to see them with another win like that, having some attitude. Also a funny moment, I don't know if you caught on the game-clinching play. Smart, they were trying to foul, and Smart threw it up, alley-ooped it to Ja for, the dagger to clinch the game. And Ja did the celebration. That's like the New Orleans dance that the LSU team keeps doing. And obviously you get the curmudgeon-y old journalist looking at the dance. I don't know. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I do. Well, yeah, I did see it, and I didn't. I learned that it was like a New Orleans. I didn't really react to the way because I could care less.
Same. But you see people out there being like, "Oh, he's doing like a bazooka motion," or it's just like, all right, let's just relax.
I mean, I feel like he was probably doing that dance, but he also probably knew what he was doing there.
I mean, who knows? But it's either way, it's just like, who cares?
That's what I say too. I don't really care. I don't know why he can't ever mention a gun again. I don't know. Yeah, I'm assuming that none of those guns that he had in the videos were illegally owned firearms. I'm assuming he has a permit to carry a gun if you even fucking need one in Memphis.
No idea.
But it's just, I don't know. I'm just kind of sick of the whole
funny moment. And
that was funny, and I did love the reaction from people.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, I'm almost embracing let's just let the Grizzlies be villains. Yeah, just be villains and just go out and just be an FU attitude to everyone. And I hope they go out there. Like I said, I would love to see them.
Did you see his dad dancing courtside though? That was a really weird video. Yeah. That was weird.
That's just vintage.
That looked like one of those videos of that reminded me of those videos that they show people that just what's that stuff that you smoked turns into a zombie, just smoked kratom or whatever the fuck
kratom.
That was one of those videos. If someone just photoshopped that onto San Francisco or Portland, Oregon street, I would literally be
walking around.
Wow, this is I've seen this before. But yeah, that was bizarre.
That's funny. Yeah, definitely funny. But like I said, just loving it for the Grizzlies. I think we'd both love to see them battle their way back, get into the play-in, and make life miserable for so many of those other Western teams that we despise. Lakers, whatever.
All right,
stupid Suns, Clippers, Pelicans, whatever.
What else you got for us?
All right. Beyond that, the latest star, quote unquote, to have trade rumors out there. Dejounte Murray. The Hawks season has obviously been a disaster. Him and Trae Young never really fit together. Obviously, we get the usual suspects: Lakers, Knicks, rumored to get Dejounte Murray. I don't know how you feel about Dejounte Murray. I think he's a fine player, but like, I don't think he's a star. I don't think he's probably worth the contract. And moreover, I just
what's his contract,
fits.
or is he due for an extension or something?
They just extended him to 4 years, $120 million. So I mean, not totally unreasonable with today's salary cap, but I just don't think he's that. I don't know, acting like that's bringing in like a third star that's going to save the Lakers. Again, a guy who I just don't.
I do think it's very. It's like I would love for the Lakers to do that.
Exactly. Any of these teams, it's like the Lakers, Philly, the Knicks, other teams are rumored, and all of them. I just think he wouldn't help them. He doesn't fit. He'd be undertasked. Like, he wouldn't be able to play the role that he needs to play to succeed. And they try to kind of force him into this mix. And again, I mean, more power to them if they want to get him. Like, he's obviously a talented player. He's fine. I don't think it's like a terrible contract, but I just don't think he is like what teams are selling themselves that he is. I don't think he's the guy to go in and fix these teams.
Yeah.
I think it would be a mistake for any of those guys to pay.
Yeah, no, I don't really think that he's. I mean, it'd be a good player piece, I think, but for teams to think that that's the big thing, I'm not sold. But again, I would love for any of our rivals to overpay for him.
Exactly. So we'll see. We'll see if that's just typical Lakers Knicks propaganda media, or if that's something real. But it's another name. Every name that comes out, obviously, going to be rumored for those guys. So that was funny. Another funny storyline we saw. Obviously, we talked about on the last pod the Durant rumors that he's frustrated with his supporting cast and with the way the team's going, and that he's wants out if things don't change. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Obviously, like classic KD. The game immediately after that, he goes out, has a triple-double, sets his career high for assists with this supporting cast that he's so frustrated in. Like, KD is just easily the most online superstar ever. And this is just so on brand for him to go out there and just like, I feel like he actually like thinks about this stuff and is like, oh, like they're saying I don't like my supporting cast. I'm going to go out and get 17 assists just to prove that like, that's bullshit. So, classic KD, just hilarious performance all around. He's obviously still a great player, but always funny to see that kind of shit. Another, this kind of off the court, but the Mavs sale now official with Mark Cuban selling, I think it's 73%, obviously a majority stake of the Mavericks. Just very interesting to me. Again, I don't know, like, there's a lot of rumors out there. Some people are saying.
Oh wait, I wanted to before we got it. Before I'm sorry to interrupt. I was trying to find the tweet about Durant, but I did see a tweet that was, we're pausing all Kevin Durant slander. Because he put the number 6 patch back on his jersey last night. I don't think like the whole league's not wearing him this year or something like that, but Durant had it on his jersey last night, obviously after Haslem's stupid fucking comments, which I saw you mix it up from the Chuddy Corner account with some people on.
Yeah, people weren't too happy with that.
No.
I didn't even have that on my list, but real quick, just to point out, Udonis Haslem, what a fuck
that guy. Yeah,
and a loser.
He's doing it for clicks and engagement.
He's not even worthy of our mention, but for him to go out there and act like the Heat shouldn't have Bill Russell's jersey retired because he's a Celtic, and that saying that, the Celtics wouldn't have a Heat banner hanging or whatever. Like, dude, fuck you. He's not in there because he was a good player. He's in there because he changed the entire league, the entire civil rights movement in this entire country. Udonis Haslem wouldn't even be able to play in the NBA if it wasn't for guys like Bill Russell. For him to just laugh at him and shit on him like that, like, what a fucking idiot.
Yeah, and I don't even mind the like.
Tweeting,
I don't even mind the
like.
Good
point too. It'd be like him going, in baseball, being like, hey, do you believe the Marlins have Jackie Robinson's Dodger number retired? Like, fuck the Dodgers. Like, it's like, dude,
but the thing is,
be
like,
more fucking clueless.
I can, like, I don't mind the, like just being fired up before a game and saying, like, fuck Bill Russell's gonna be like, I wouldn't say it, but it's just like, but I wouldn't tell that story. Like, the fact they're telling the story laughing is just so stupid.
He looks like such an ass.
Yeah, no, he's an idiot. And it also would make a lot more sense if he didn't play for a team that also had Michael Jordan and Dan Marino's number retired in the Raptors. They have fucking Dan Marino's number. When I heard that, I had to like look that up myself. I don't even...
And again, it's not like it's a Heat thing. Like, every team has Bill Russell's number up there, right? Like, it's not like it's just the Heat being like, we've got to honor this guy. And again,
but those other two are just the Heat. No other team has in the NBA has
basketball accomplishments. They're honoring him because of everything he did for the NBA as a whole, for black people, for the civil rights, for the country. Like, again, it'd be like guys shitting on Jackie Robinson because he didn't play for the fucking Marlins. I mean, like, we shouldn't have this guy's number. Like, he just sounds so fucking out of touch with everything that's happening.
He's an idiot. We've already spent too much time talking about him.
We have, but in that same interview, he said that he hates the old Celtics and that he hopes he runs into Pierce and Garnett and he says he will fight them in a 7-Eleven. They're like, just the stupidest shit ever. Again, Pierce, the guy who got stabbed 11 fucking times, came back and played. You think he's scared of Udonis Haslem? Give me a fucking break. I saw one of my good buddies on Twitter, at Steve Merkel, Fraser Ramon, props to him, dug up a story from 2000, back when Haslem actually played. It was on the Heat, and Haslem was obsessed with Subway, and there's a whole article where he basically speaks of his admiration for Jared Fogle from Subway, and how he compared himself to Jared from Subway. Which,
that was a great find. I did see that.
Aged so well. So props to Haslem for being a fucking dickhead. Anyway, moving on from him, because he sucks. But back to, again, the Mavericks. Mark Cuban selling his shares in the team, just very weird. The timing seems weird. Some people have mentioned that he might want to, because he wants to run for president. Some people have speculated that it's because he's now cash poor, because he lost all his money in crypto and NFTs and shit like that. Some people have mentioned that it's because he wants to open up a casino, and he needs these Adelson people or whatever to help him, and he needs the cash or whatever. Some people have said that he's just, like, poor and has mismanaged his money, and that's why he's not like on Shark Tank, and he's doing this to save face because he needs the money. Wow,
I didn't know anything about that.
Some people are saying, like, I guess that he wants to open some like huge casino business, and his politics don't mesh with like the conservative government in Texas, and that they are like against him. So if he's not the face of the team, like, other people can help him get it through if he's not the main guy pushing for it. So there's a lot of different stories out there. Very weird story, but it just does seem like weird timing, or one of the most like outspoken front and center owners is seemingly just like pulling away at a time where, you know, like, it's seemingly the NBA is thriving and all prices are just going up and up and up, and teams are worth more every day. Like,
and it wasn't like it wasn't even like he's considering. It just was like he's selling the team. There wasn't even like there was no smoke before the fire.
Right, and also to make it weirder, like the story coming out that he said like he is retaining control of basketball operations, but he doesn't have final say.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those funny things to me where it's like, okay, well, that sounds like...
Well, that's kind of like any GM now. Like, every GM is kind of like...
But he's not a GM, he's the owner. So it's like, you don't have final... If you don't have final say, you don't have full control. Like, you have full control until your boss disagrees with you. So again, now he's basically just a rich GM. Like, it's a very odd... It seems like there's more to this story. I don't know if something else, is there another shoe's going to drop, more's going to come out. I don't know. I didn't know if you had like a hot take, or you had some speculation that you thought was behind this. It seems like you don't really...
the running for president thing I had heard.
Which I don't buy that. I think
I don't know if
the longest shot.
Yeah, I could see maybe some, but I think the most intriguing one that you mentioned is maybe like the crypto thing, because he was like all about crypto, and he does sort of seem like one of those guys that's like. And like I like the cubes.
I don't dislike him,
but he does seem like one of those guys who it's like thinks they're like this super crazy, wicked smart investor because they made like one really good investment and it got super rich off of it. Like I don't know. I feel like there's this kind of a couple. There's kind of like this, you know, a lot of some of these like younger billionaires where it's just like they made like one or two good investments and it's like oh, they're just like so smart, every bit, but it's like. They just had like a really good idea. Like he just had like it was just a .com boom, right? He just made a ton of money off the internet. Like so, like
well, and it seemed like when he 20 years ago
he knew the internet would be huge. Like that's not like it's not like the craziest. Like that's not like the most like foresight. Wow, who could have guessed that the internet would be like a profitable venture?
Right. And he was like the young, hip, rich owner, and now it seems like all the other owners are way richer. Like at least compared to other owners, he's like relatively poor seemingly, and it just seems like everything is kind of turned. And
but I mean, he'll make a good amount of money off the sale at least. But,
but
I didn't even think about that. Like, could be a cash poor type situation.
I don't know. Like I said, something to monitor
because it happened so fast. Something sketchy,
right? And seemingly out of nowhere. Like there was no. It's not like this has been brewing for a while, or there was smoke behind this. So interesting to follow. I think, like I said, they're probably another shoe to drop at some point. I don't know what, but
maybe
we'll see.
Sexually harass someone.
That certainly could be.
But probably not. I'm not saying he did that.
Well, they did have the scandal where there was sexual assault within the organization under his watch a few years ago. So they have had some issues. So who knows? Don't think that's impossible.
Yeah.
Another story now on the court, Mikal Bridges, NBA Iron Man in the modern day, had a long active games played streak. was seeming like it was going to be snapped last night on the second night of a back-to-back as they played the Bucks. Seemed like the Nets wanted to sit everyone. Bridges obviously didn't want his streak to end. This led to Bridges playing the first quarter and then sitting the rest of the game in what was a competitive game. They clearly needed him.
Streak's
so they clearly
over.
just put him out there to extend the streak and then set him out.
Streak's over.
So, it's essentially over. It technically will continue, but, this is kind of shitty. And, people were pissed about it. Bettors were pissed about it. Fans were pissed about it. This sucks. And, again, it sucks for Bridges because I'm sure he doesn't want to sit. I'm sure it's not him saying to sit, so I don't know where this decision comes down.
See, I don't know, but
out.
I just feel like then, I don't know, he could have been in the game then. I don't know. He played. You think the coach was like,
I don't think it's the coaches. I think it's the front office that kind of makes these decisions.
Well, what would they have done if he came out and played in the second quarter? Like, fired the coach, cut the guy? Like,
maybe. I don't know.
Come on. He could have, I don't know. Streak's over. That streak's done.
Well, it'll last. It's going to go, on paper to keep going and whatever. But, again, it's just
if you know ball, you know it's over.
And it's a disappointing situation. Again, the Nets, they're like a around 500 team. They're battling for their playoff lives. They're playing at home against a Bucks team. It's a close game. And they're sitting their top 4 players. That just sucks for the league, for everyone. Nobody wants to see that. So, just shitty situation. And the streak just makes it more of a story than it even needed to be.
Yeah.
So, hate to see that kind of shit. And then the only other thing I had was Derrick White, all-star buzz. JJ Reddick leading the charge, our boy, JJ Reddick, tweeting out Derrick White is an all-star, going on his podcast, laying down every advanced stat, just absolutely demolishing all the box score boys, all the haters out there. The ball don't stop.
Formal invite for JJ Reddick to join the pod.
Ally.
Come to discuss. That's good. I would love it. I don't think it's going to happen. I just think there's so many other, big-name guards.
So
unless the Celtics fans just, absolutely bombard.
No, it won't be that. It'll be if the coaches and the players vote him in as, the last guy on the roster.
Yeah.
I think is a better chance.
Maybe,
I think the coaches, I think, will appreciate it. I think the players will appreciate it. But like you said, how do you equate these guys, the Trae Young, Brunson, Halliburton, these guys who just put up huge numbers on losing teams, don't play defense? Historically, I think he has not a great chance. But again, if the Celtics go into the All-Star break, by far the best record, and they're 40-7 or something absurd like that. We've seen years ago. Remember that Atlanta Hawks team who had the best record, and they got Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver, Millsap, Horford. They had 4 All-Stars. So worse players and more role players than Derrick White have made the All-Star game. If you look at his advanced stats, they're absolutely through the roof, and pretty much every stat you pull up of his advanced stats, he's on lists where it's just Jordan, Bird, LeBron, all-time greats. So what he's doing, can't be measured in conventional counting stats. I know. You and I, obviously, we know the value of Derrick White. We agree. He probably has a long shot to actually make the All-Star game, but I think the point is he's worthy, and people appreciate it.
Yeah. I saw someone else that was saying, though, that they'd be fine with it because then they could fire up the Tatum's doing all this with no All-Stars, but him on the roster. You can fire up that propaganda. But I don't know. No. You don't think Porzingis is Porzingis not playing enough?
The Celtics are getting a second All-Star, 100%.
Jalen or Porzingis? Who do you think is more likely?
I could honestly see both, and that's kind of the thing. That's maybe the thing that makes it the most uphill battle for White, is that his other teammates are more prominent, have better stats.
Let's save that for another slower episode. Exactly. We got to fill more time.
We'll definitely do a full episode where we both unveil our own All-Star teams. But the Celtics will definitely have at least 2 All-Stars. I think White has an uphill battle, but again, to no fault of his own. Yeah.
All right. That was around the NBA. Next up, we have the Raptors. Give us real quick. I'm going to keep you on the clock on this one. Real quick takeaway preview for the Raptors.
Another team that's really struggling, Toronto Raptors. They haven't been able to get it together. The hardest thing for now is probably the quick turnaround after exerting all that energy, all that emotion, all that to fight through adversity, win tonight's game, to turn around and try to get fired up for another quote-unquote shitty team tomorrow night. Scotty Barnes has been their star. He's turned the corner and has been easily their biggest bright spot. He looks like he's an actual budding superstar. So Scotty Barnes will be the guy to control. OG Anunoby having another really nice year. We have obviously seen what Pascal Siakam can do in the past, but again, if we are focused, come to play, we should have no problem winning this game. I'm sure at least one of Porzingis or Al will be out. I don't know if they're both going to sit out. I don't know if Jalen's going to be back, so we could be significantly shorthanded. Again, it's going to take effort. This is a classic trap game, especially after the way tonight's game went. So we'll see kind of how we come out. If we can bring that energy, bring that focus, nice Friday night crowd in the Garden. Hopefully that'll help kind of lift us and get us over the hump against a team that on paper we should certainly be able to beat.
All right. Celtics 132, Raptors 118. That's what I'm calling it.
I'm into it.
I'm going to throw that in the Chuddy Bar Parlay. That exact score parlay. All right. Well, folks, thank you for listening. Again, if you're listening on any podcast service and you haven't subscribed, make sure you go in and subscribe. Follow the show page at Chuddy's Corner on Twitter. Follow me at Doug_outs. Follow him at King Chuddy. And we will see you all tomorrow, back-to-back. Celtics win 128-122. Pistons streak lives on, but they earned a lot of undying respect from Celtics fans, I think, tonight. So, with that being said, we'll see you all tomorrow. Take care, Chud.
Peace out, Chuddy heads.